1.
Are we here? Yes, we're here. I see us.
I'd like to think we're here, otherwise one of us is hallucinating. All of you are hallucinating if we're not really here.
Either way. Welcome back, guys. It's time to talk about a thing. Doing a TNG review of the final mission. Something. What it's called. Let me see. Yes, final mission. Yay. So yeah, how's it going, guys? Somebody in the comments earlier said weird episode to review, and no, it's just next in line.
Not our choice.
Yep.
It's the next one after Future Imperfect. This is the last of the Wesley Crusher as a primary regular. Kind of the end of that saga as much as it is.
Listen, Jericho's title is a lie. It's funny because I want to talk about the title. Final mission.
Oh.
Who's the final mission for? The captain, the mercenary freighter captain. Picard, will he die?
Wesley, we've not seen the episodes yet. Oh shit! Is this a? Are you watching as we go along? Are you gonna co-watch them? I have to keep up with you. It's like, oh yeah, this season's brilliant. Oh, okay. Ah shit, we're past. Okay. Is that what we're doing today? Brand new format.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! That sounds fun.
The title was actually a good one, considering I'm not sure exactly what was going to happen, especially with, I mean, the first watch through with Picard. Was he going to die? They didn't like him very much for season 3. They thought they might kill him off. Best of both worlds. So, who knows?
It is a bit funny to watch this one when Picard's injured, being like, so he gets more injured from some rocks than as being Locutus. Because, boy, she just pulls out the stuff and he's fine. Like, nothing needed. He feels more injured from this than Locutus being assimilated. That's a bad thing to be able to say.
I'd rather be assimilated than have a bunch of rocks fall on me, personally.
Oh, sure, from like a very visceral thing. Obviously, Janeway, same thing. Assimilated and then got a headbutt by the end of the episode. But it's just like, makes the Borg thing seem a lot less deadly. Because this seemed worse. Yeah. It was weird.
We have 2 super chats to start out.
Excellent.
Of
course
he does. Hail the Superior Commander and Super Captain Foley. Okie dokie. Skeleton hands.
Oh no, we're adding catchphrases, are we?
Yeah, soon he's just gonna have one catchphrase. Jeff Jacobs, $3. I can't make it tonight. Hit like, make Fleet Paw Swift back pay. Hit like, guys. I don't think we're gonna have a huge turnout for this one because it's kind of a meh episode. We got 31 people here right now.
There may be some epic fans. You never know.
Yeah.
Some people love Discovery, so
Was it just me, or was this an episode that could have been like a short trek? And maybe 2 short treks.
Yeah. But we'll get into that in a minute. I'll start sharing. You can start chatting.
Okay. Hi, everybody. As you saw, Super Chats are a great way for the regular supporters to help the channel out and keep us going, keep us coming back. Today's been a very blah day for me. Feel very empty and hollow and kind of wayward, and don't want to be here. But I am here just for you guys. So if you want to support the channel in any way, Super Chats are a great way, as is Patreon, as is joining the channel at the rank of Commander, Captain, or Admiral, or just checking out the links down below, like Teespring Store, all that. You know the routine, guys. I don't have to tell you that. Hopefully you can hear me okay as well. I think the volume's fine. Nobody's complained about not being able to hear me, which is good. So, yeah. Anywho. Oh, it's not good to feel that way. It is not, Dan, and I haven't felt this way in probably like a good 3 months. Went through a spot there for a while. It was like a week, 2 weeks where I felt like this every day. Been feeling pretty good, and then just today, just super depressed. So, I'd like to thank you guys all for showing up, and I really appreciate it. And 42 of you here now, which is awesome. So yeah, Fleet Paws here. He's holding down the fort today because Jeff's not here. Olivia won't be here. Um, so yeah. Anywho, and yeah, it's not a super great episode. I mean, watched it earlier today, and it's kind of like, it's kind of a, it's not a bad episode per se. It's just kind of there's not a lot in it. It's not a lot there to talk about, you know. Although I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about because that's how it always turns out. We think that this episode might not have a lot to talk about, and then end up talking. So
It's
that's
because we appreciate the small details and we look for the small details. And this one does have a few, certainly. And as I said, I guess 2 weeks ago when we did our last one, or something along those lines, that this one is one that I very likely, I remember watched part of it on VHS once. So this was I sort of knew the beginning, sort of knew the end, in very vague, but nothing in the middle. Didn't know anything about the Riker subplot. Although I recognise the lady alien, so I guess she's reused because I recognise that alien just fine, but not any of the mission. Bit weird.
I didn't recognize the alien.
Yeah.
She was a hot mess. Just who does her hair, like makeup?
Well, that's the traditional start of the planet. So therefore, it really was a sort of a first watch for me, which is always nice, you know. Again, with that sort of vibe of, oh, I do recognise it. Although obviously, once you get into the cave system, you do feel like you recognise it because it's the same cave set. Unfortunately, they're already getting into cave fatigue where they can't redress it differently enough each time. You know, I mean, it's nice to get it. Oh, sorry.
This one felt a little more cavernous, though. Just with the way it was filmed, it seemed a little bit different than some of the more claustrophobic ones we've seen. So,
but they should have done more to redress it. I think added a bit more uniqueness. Because then all you see is like it's just from this big outdoors to just the set. It doesn't have that same power, which they're wanting. I know it's a TV budget, but you know, it's odd. Like I say, cave fatigue already. Just whereas the last couple they lit differently, and it's like, oh, that feels different. So it's very easily doable. This week they didn't quite achieve that, but you know, can't win them all.
And Kenchi 2K7 $5. Hope you feel better soon, Captain. Thank you.
Oh, you okay, Stuart?
Well, yeah, you were sharing that. I said I've just all day I've just felt like super hollow, super like listless, like no direction, nothing. It's just back in one of my depressive slumps, which I haven't had for like 3 months. So.
Well, you ain't got time for that. You can have it. You can have it on Christmas Day because you can't have it 20 weeks.
I know. And Dan 23, what's in 2 pounds? Star Trek 3 phaser. Yes.
Or I guess in the context of this movie, the current Star Trek movie phaser.
Yes.
Yeah. Weren't they also in weren't they in season 1 with the Admiral? They're in the background on the wall. We were like, oh look, phasers.
Yeah, they turn up a few times throughout the course of Trek. So I kind of like the way they did them this one. Like they're very weathered looking. They had the leather wrapped handles, like, and it got a lot of scuff marks. You know, it was kind of cool. So but best phaser by far ever.
Is what?
Besides best phaser by far ever. Aside from the TOS one.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
You don't agree with me?
No.
I'm gonna shoot you.
No, you can try. Best face by far. There's so many phasers. Jesus. Yeah. So I mean, what did you remember this episode then going? Because obviously we're more in the era where you either watch these first run, second run, or should have memories. Or did you come in with preconceived notions?
Well, see, I've watched this a few times, obviously, because we watch the series occasionally. And all I remember from this one is the cave and the water thing and that whole plot. I do not remember the other plot ever. So it's always a nice surprise to kind of get into standalone adventure. with the
Hmm.
Enterprise doing a thing, which is kind of cool. So, yeah.
Hmm. The the impression I get from this one is that it's like you ask yourself, if you have 26 chances to make Trek, right, it might not be renewed. Why
Mhm.
did you make this story? You know, where's the inspiration here? Where's the creative drive? Like, there's no sort of spark here of a really good idea. Hey, I mean, it's an okay concept. But Wesley and Picard get stuck on a planet, but then you
Mhm.
execute it so plainly, um, and then you give the other half a non-plot. It's just like there's clearly a lack of, like with last week. Last week was, well, as in Future Imperfect was amazing idea, fully realized. This one, the idea is basic, but there's no. I can imagine this is very much just a we need to fill in the in between episodes. I'm not want to see what else is in the season, but yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's just me, but it feels like very much a well, we need another episode. Okay, here.
Yeah, kind of. And it also feels like, oh, well, these two episodes that we had written, they need a lot of padding. Let's just mash them together
Hmm.
because they're not really whole stories, you know?
Mm,
And just
yeah.
the plot convenience, the MacGuffin of having the Enterprise having to do a thing and not be able to get there right away to create drama, you know, it's kind of like,
And
well,
it would be fine, but that plot, there's no payoff to it. They succeed. That's the payoff.
yeah,
That's it. There's no
they did their
payoff.
job. Woo.
Yes, they successfully did their job, and I'll save a scathing comment on Riker's leadership later, when it gets to that point. But it's like I say, there's very little creative spark here. Like um, like you said, probably like a back pocket idea. It's just like if I was the writer of this one, while I feel like I earn my paycheck, I wouldn't think I really added anything to the Trek world. If that was your one shot, it's
Yeah,
like you didn't do anything interesting, and that was your chance. You know.
yeah, yeah. David L, €5.
Thank you.
€5 for the captain and commander.
Thank you.
You get to split it. You get to split it. Woohoo!
And then 3 ways: YouTube, you and me.
Oh, I forgot about YouTube.
Well, 4 ways: currency conversion.
Oh, that's brutal too. Yeah.
Thank you, though.
On my deathbed, I dream of Boothby, puts in $2. The dumbest part was 10 seconds to lethal exposure. See, I have a whole other plan how I would have dealt with that if I had been in command at
Mm-hmm.
that point and needed to do a thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a much better idea that would have
Mm.
worked probably a lot better. But that's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, the whole 10 seconds lethal exposure. I mean, if you're 1% from lethal exposure, I'm sure to have massive radiation burns, you'll need months of chemo. It's like, just because you won't die from this, the point of almost death radiation. I mean, how many kids are going to be in medical care for the next few years? I mean, this isn't like. Okay, but again, yes, if you can return you from Borg to human in the same day, medical tech's amazing. But how many kids are crying in pain right now? How many adults are on the floor unable to do anything because the radiation is too bad because it's killing their cells? I mean, radiation is not fun. Um,
Yeah.
like
Believe me,
99% deadlies. I mean, come on, it's pretty gonna be pretty bad for you. Like how many of them losing their hair? I mean, I'm sure Riker lost his hair after this, and yeah, that'd be funny. It's like, Captain, yes, when is the? Riker's like, so how long till deadly levels? 38 minutes. How long to hair loss levels? 5 minutes ago. Oh,
damn it.
damn it, Jim.
To renew my
At least,
subscription to Care Club for Men.
Mott came on board a few months ago.
Mark Lawrence throws in $5.
Thank you.
Just saying. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Good to
See you,
see
my
you. So yeah, what do you think this time around then? We kind of just gave us sort of like overall like other bits and bobs. What do you think this time then? What was your version?
It's one of those ones where I don't know if it's just my mood today or what, but you walk away from it feeling like nothing happened. It's not a lot in here. Um, it's not. This is why it's kind of a forgotten episode because we've talked about this before. When you finish an episode and you feel like, oh, that was kind of pointless.
Mm.
That really didn't, nothing memorable there. That's definitely one of them here. So, that being said, wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. And I kind of enjoyed it. Um, I just wish it would have felt like I had. It's like you had a meal, but you just weren't full at the end. It's like I just ate all that
Well,
and spent an hour watching this, and I got nothing out of it.
you know how I remember the exact meal where McDonald's went from being food that was renowned you were hungry an hour later, a full burger and fries just wasn't, it was shit food. And then suddenly, oh, it was a meal. It became actually healthier, more nutritious, or whatever they did to it. Like, I remember that meal. It's like, oh, wow, I'm still full. 3 hours later, what the hell, McDonald's? You did a good job. This is like in McDonald's where you eat it. It's like, oh, there's a burger. It's like, yeah, but I'm hungry in an hour. There's nothing there. It looks like a burger, tastes like a burger, doesn't leave you with anything.
Yeah,
And
this was like a typical day at the office for Starfleet. At least the one mission, and the stuff you never see, the stuff you hear about. We're just returning from this, or you know.
Although I think if this is, I mean, this is in essence Wesley's sort of leaving song. Although I think his one of the Academy is a really good one of him with Paris, non-Paris Paris, and yet he's in this a bit, but for only about 2 scenes he feels important. Like if you're gonna make him be the central wow bit, this was a pretty poor version of that. Like it was not bad, but like make him really important. Have him just crash just with Picard. Picard's in a coma. Give him the entire give him a really creative. He is the swan song of this. It kind of makes you think that they didn't think he could carry an episode, and so they were like, he's just not like an actor. We're gonna give him a few good scenes, but we really can't weigh this on his shoulders. He's not good enough. And honestly, the scenes he was doing at the end, he was acting. He wasn't being. Patrick felt like he was being, even the other guy, but Will was acting. He wasn't living the character. He was acting as scenes. So it wasn't really, you weren't taken into the moment.
Well, yeah, and the thing is too that this is them getting rid of Wesley due to fan demand and fan reaction and all that. And so, as Will Wheaton, I'd be like, well, you guys, So I don't know. I think.
But do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't really this isn't the great wow, because he could have made him like season 1. He's sometimes really good, like he's the star of the show. He's not the star of this show.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It is a little. Luke Celeste puts in $10.
Oh, Luke.
I remember this one as being the plot hole full. I got cut off, didn't I?
How do you know as well? You're getting very good at noticing.
Because you freeze. And then all of a sudden, the little static or the stops in my ear.
He's getting good, guys.
If you're like looking at the chat and you're like being really still, I'm like, did I get? And then I see an eye movement, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Watch that shit. Okay, I'll read Luke's again. Luke's Celeste, $10. I remember this one as being the plot hole full of water that you couldn't get because plot hole.
Yeah.
And James McGill, $2, should have created Delta Planet Sam in Discovery. Oh yeah, well, the arrow was a great idea. I mean, that's the perfect thing to do if you're ever in that situation and you're out in the wild and you know that somebody's going to come looking for you. They'll find the wreck, but you got to go somewhere else. Point an arrow. I like that.
Simple and effective. I mean, you're going to find the shuttle instantly. The metal composite is alien.
Yeah. And
even with sand on top of the metal, you would do a metallic scan, you'd see it, and then you'd put your leg over it. Oh look, it's a thing. Oh, it's a thing. But let's get started. So we have a twist start. They're going somewhere, doing something, and Wesley's brought in, and he's. I find it odd though that you were called 10 minutes ago. Why aren't you here yet? But it's like that I could be doing something that.
And it's a big ship.
Yeah, it's like, what if I'm actually busy? I can come as soon as possible. I know it's all about a joke, but like Wesley's a professional officer at this point, even though he's uncommissioned. Even though he is commissioned, he's uncommissioned. He shouldn't be as frantic here to explain himself. He should just calmly say, "Sorry, Captain, I had a dangerous experiment." Him being this frantic, I didn't buy the scene. I was just like, why are you being like this? Like, if you've got a reason, he will accept the reason. End of situation. So I'm like, I don't buy this moment, But if he isn't worried, then the payoff doesn't work. But I don't buy it as a believable moment.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. He kind of comes in a little bit frantic for sure. Fleet Paw Swiftback,
Thank you.
$5. Or like Daniel, drawing in the cave wall when captured by the Unis. LOL. Yes, the arrows. Um, so yeah, he gets called to the bridge, and like you said, summoned you 10 minutes ago. What's up? And he's kind of blabbling, and Picard's like, "That's no excuse, but I can assure you." Well, he doesn't say that. No excuse. Sorry, what's he say? Um, I can assure you that that will not go down while at Starfleet Academy. Yes, sir, I know, but say what?
Captain, you don't mean?
Yeah, so they expect him to report in 2 weeks to Starfleet Academy. So they got a slot for him. That he will be behind, but Picard says, I've told him that you'd be able to make it up. Anything you've missed, so don't let me down." Which I like. I mean, Wesley's capable of doing that for sure. So,
Although, which was the one that he chose not to go to the Academy for? Was it this season or the end of last season?
that's a good question.
Because if that was the start of term, then that would have been several months ago. And losing, if the Academy's
That was Menage a Troy.
It was, which was this season.
Yeah, because he was about to beam out.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, the rhythm," and he ran up to the bridge.
Which is a good him moment.
Like,
Simple, but good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see which one that was.
I think that's
Yes, it was last season, the end of last season. So it's been a good 5-6 months. He's got a lot. I mean, he has lost like a sixth of his entire academy time. If you're already, if term starts in September and you jump in February, maybe just wait till next term. You've lost all the orientation. You've lost all the,
But see, the other thing too is he's got in the field experience, which a lot of the other cadets wouldn't have. So it kind of equals out a little bit,
But it's more in the sense that they've got a certain syllabus that he's meant to follow, like that they've been doing, and he's missed, half of a full year's worth, pretty much. It's a lot. I mean, yeah,
That being said, he was doing classes and stuff on the Enterprise before this, so I assume he was still doing some, that kind of training.
But if he did if he did the first year worth of work, then when he joined the next year, he'd have already done the first year of work, and it'd be redundant. So he can't do the actual grade. He can't do the actual syllabus. Otherwise, what would be the point?
Yeah.
I'm just and besides, everyone will be jealous because it's like someone he'll get bullied in a nice way because it's like special treatment on the flagship, got put in, already a commissioned officer sort of, but not really. It's just a weird situation,
Yeah, and here's where the episode title comes in, because Picard says, "Well, for your final mission on board the Enterprise, you will accompany me to Penteris 5 to sort out the issues with the miners," which, Riker has been told Picard that he's been studying the effects of outpost judiciary decisions of Federation law, so it'd be helpful. Later we find out it's more of a selfish thing from Picard, because he doesn't think he's going to have to spend much time with him before he leaves.
One last hurrah.
Yeah, but that's why it's...
Yes, Wesley almost joined the academy as many times as Riker almost became captain. Yes, so true, so true. Going to the academy now feels like a step backwards to me. Almost, yeah. Hi.
Hi. Fleet Pass was back $2.57 again at 100. Hashtag TNG like spike. Yes. 83 of you watching. Everybody make sure you hit that like button, and thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. And do they mention here about the alien shuttle, or is that in a minute? Oh, Stuart, man, what's with your internet? Because we're fine on this end. Constant stream quality. Doing absolutely fine. I mean, I assume you guys are seeing us in crystal clear 1080 HD and 60 frames per second. Stuart, man. That would have great still of Wesley just to chill out. And what's the chat saying? Engage Hollow Captain. Bade 86 watching, only 61 likes. I mean, We need more likes, don't we? We need more than 61. Maybe a few hundred likes? If people that aren't even here can click like. Wouldn't that be cool? You should never cross the streams. Yeah, so what's the chat saying though? Yes, man, of Troy Season 3. Renewable source of a hair gel. That's funny.
Here it is.
Is it like a storm though? Is there or something, Stuart? Because maybe you should talk to your internet provider because this is every time now.
It's the infrastructure in this part of the city. Trust me. We've done what we can. They're going to be putting in fiber lines soon, hopefully. So.
Is that the soon hopefully they've been saying for 3 years, sort of soon hopefully? Because I hear that's pretty common for American.
No.
Manufacturers.
Well, Sylvia works for the internet company that we have, and she's been training the new fiber director who put in fiber in Toronto for Rogers Cable. So now that he's working for Start, they're going to focus on London. So hopefully, because she trained him and she mentioned, hey, my part of the city needs, she's been, so we'll see.
It's funny because it's crystal clear until it just stops. It's not like it's bad internet, it just has intermittent ability to have the internet.
Well, it's also 5:30, which means everybody and their uncle
has come back.
Getting home from work, checking their email, checking everything, and it just blooms.
So basically, every time you blip out, it represents about 5,000 people go onto Netflix.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, then they get a general distress signal. Why not? And then you get crazy hair lady.
She must have been reusing Voyager, because that is a recognizable. Because it's a quite expensive looking makeup. Although her acting is not very good, I'll be honest. She's not convincing in this part.
No. But find out there's a ship in orbit that is emitting large levels of radiation into the atmosphere.
8,000%. It's something absurd. Like, oh my god.
3,000%.
See, still pretty absurd.
So they can only assume that they are under attack, which would make sense, I guess. Ship won't answer the hails, and they don't have any way to defend themselves because they're a peaceful planet. That got me thinking. It's great being a peaceful planet and all, but when you need to defend yourselves, wouldn't you like to have some weapons instead of having to rely on other people? That's why when we talked to Doug Drexler about, hey, a ship versus a ship, he's like, well, why do they have to fight each other? Because you're going to find people that, you got to carry a big stick to protect yourself out there in the wild. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's not just that, but they do explicitly say it's about a week until the next ship. And so if the Enterprise wasn't there, this planet would probably be dead, or a large portion of it would be poisoned forever. But they're obviously, there must be warp-capable species, otherwise we wouldn't talk to them. So why don't they have any warp-capable ships in range? Why do they have nothing stationed at their house, or their home? But this is one of those classic, well, if they might not be warp-capable, because they have no ships, clearly, but if they have no warp-capable, they shouldn't be in contact, but obviously they have first contact. But since most planets would want to do exploration of the universe, even to some extent, it's one of those classic, well, how do we have contact with them? Prime directive, but obviously we do. But I guess they had warp travel 1,000 years ago and chose never to use it again, and disassembled all their ships, and didn't want to do trade. TNG keeps doing this. It's really kind of bugging me. They don't care about their whole first contact situation. So it's either they do have warp or they don't have warp. And if they have warp, this shouldn't be the same problem.
These are probably planets that were grandfathered in from the TOS days where Kirk and everybody was stopping by, or Archer. Before the Prime Directive. You're all part of the Federation. We just created this awesome Federation. We want to tell you about it. You're in.
This was one of Archer's many. What? Hey, how you doing, planets? That's funny. I like that. But it would have been nice if they'd said on dialogue saying, we've tried to move, but our ships aren't powerful enough. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't get close enough without the crews getting seriously ill or whatever.
It just feels a really lacking plot point.
Yeah. Double Guitars says what I was thinking, and I've thought a few times, seeing different alien makeups in Star Trek. The species must only eat through straws. Anyway, so Picard's like, we will get there right away, and then he goes on to say, me and Wesley are going to be leaving. Riker, you handle this problem, and because we got to leave in like 10 minutes.
And it's like, what's more important, the destruction of an entire planet, or some mining talks that you could probably postpone by 5 hours?
Yeah, but then again, this is super routine, and it's just like, Riker, you take care of this. Like, gotta go do this thing.
It just feels a bit weird, like, given that in any other episode, they'd be like, maximum warp engage! But instead it's like, and I'm leaving, bye. You know, just the editing is weird here. It's like, that sounds really dangerous, bye!
Yeah, we're coming to help you.
I'll send my number 3.
As soon as the viewer's off, yeah, we're gonna send the C Squad.
Yeah. Hey, Cerritos! Get over there!
Luke Celeste, $5.
Okay.
The Enterprise is always the only ship in the sector. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. This is obviously like
a trope.
A less well-traveled aerospace, etc., etc. And then you get, you know, the first proper use of the shuttle pod prop set, which is now going to be reuse all the way until the end of Voyager and Enterprise.
And call out, there is the shuttle pod. What is it? Yeah, the Type 15 shuttle pod nacelles on the top of this thing, just painted to match the ship, but they're the exact same.
Now, is that because they've now disassembled that shuttle pod? Is that not used again? And therefore, they would, because I mean that, you know, or is it just they use the same molds?
I think we see it again. It might be the same molds or whatever.
Or spares, yeah. Because this is not actually. I mean, considering this is a full-size prop set, that actually looks pretty good. I'm not, you know, looks better than later ones for sure. And you can see Geordi in it, and it implies it's the, you know, the full interior is the full exterior, and it is. This is why Parallax is cool, because you can see the dude inside it. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm left wondering why using one of their shuttles and not one of our shuttles that are fully safety tested. And yes, sure, they may have faster warp, but in the time it took them to reach you, like, you know what I mean? It's just they didn't give an explanation as to why we can't send a shuttle. Why is it their shuttle?
That's a good point.
We have many, 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 many shuttles.
Yes.
And it'd be fine if that crashed too. Like, it doesn't have to be any different, really.
But then you'd have emergency rations of water and food.
No, you'd have it crash and destroy them. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. But, yeah.
You want that rustic feel.
Geordi points out that the maneuvering thrusters are configured kind of weird. He's like, yeah, it's my own modification. It's way more efficient. You can study it if you want. And Geordi's like, yeah. Oh, the captain's here.
But he's super polite. He's like, yeah, man, that's great. Yeah. Because I think you almost buy they could be quite clever.
Yeah.
Because he's confident. He's like a gentle confidence. You instantly pick up the gimmick of, oh yes, I'm Captain so and so of the mining shuttle.
That's like me saying, "Hey, I'm Captain Foley of
my Mustang."
Trekyards.
Yeah. But he carries it in such a like good way. Although obviously, you know, hey, he's a bigger captain than anyone on this planet that the Enterprise is going to. They have no goddamn ships. So he's a bigger captain. They order that place. That would be enough of a ship, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and his name's Captain Durgo. Point that out. And the shuttle is called the Nenebek.
Cool.
Not that we care.
Nope.
But there you go.
One of the few nice touches I like is the pats on the shoulder and then gives his hand. You know, different greetings, different cultures. That I thought was a nice touch. And how diplomatic Picard is. You know, he's being totally professional, totally neat. And this is what great Picard does. He's being sent off to negotiate with some miners to help people. Nothing to do with the Federation. Nothing to do with the, like just planet nice people. That's Picard. Yeah. He's that good at diplomacy. He's just there doing it as a side hustle.
Side hustle. Yeah.
Well, that's the Picard you want, isn't it? It's still amazing we didn't get Ambassador Picard or, you know, really sure Ambassador Picard in Picard.
But Durgo wants him to take ops, and he's like, "No, man, I gotta study this crap, this Virgilian law or whatever." So.
Although all I heard was, "No, that's what I'm manservants for." That's all I heard.
Then we get a really cool shot of ops, the ops station that Data's at. Shuttle
Mm.
bay cleared, shows the
Yeah.
range,
Damn.
velocity, see a little dot leaving. Like that's amazing. That's kind of like what you see in Bridge Crew when you change the ops station, different settings. You get different views of the ship and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
It's almost too much
kudos.
detail for half a frame shot. It's really quick.
It was really quick. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for pointing out. And we get a new ensign. In the Wesley position, who actually has lines, which I was quite surprised about because he's going to pay her way more.
Ensign Allenby.
And she has no personality of any kind. She puts nothing into her lines. Not a dance, but I know we saw I in the lower decks trailer when we saw Mariner and Boimler. See, getting the names, getting there. Don't take that long. Still don't know the bridge crew of the Discovery. Who's the Asian guy?
Bryce.
Dallas Howard.
The actors.
Yes. No idea. Bryce isn't even a name in the UK, so I wouldn't even thought of that. Bryce, weird name.
I went to a guy named Bryce. He was a friend of mine.
Anyway. What was his second name? Was it a cool second name?
Bryce Tetman.
Bryce Tetman.
And featuring Bryce Tetman
as Captain
Durgo.
But it makes me think, because it does seem weird that an ensign would be given pilot of the Galaxy class. That's a pretty prestigious thing. That's someone with very little experience you shouldn't be giving. I know it's routine stuff, but hey, bridge crew and even the Enterprise. And Wesley's obviously a bit special, but
we always see ensigns there. Even in Future Imperfect, the Ferengi was an ensign.
Does that just seem weird to you, though?
It's just experience for their. They're getting bridge experience, hearing everything that's going on, but doing the simple shit of pushing buttons of
move forward 50%. Okay, great.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yep.
Go to warp. Naval ships, though. Same kind of thing on naval ships. You know, you got people on the bridge that are low rank that are just doing their job.
I mean,
what's in front of them.
I guess at the end of the day, the Enterprise is also a training ship in terms of like everyone's there to upgrade and rank. Everyone's there to learn and do more.
And like we said, it's just another day at the office. They're not in the neutral zone. They're not toe to toe with a Romulan. They're not, doing that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
John Woke though puts in $2 Canadian. Riker lent him the casual jazz blazer for the trip.
Oh, he's Rise. Commander Officer Bryce. Wait, what?
Oh, comms officer is Bryce. Oh, the comms officer's name is Bryce.
Well, hey, you got one on though.
The Asian guy is Rise.
And this Joker says, Ensign is still an officer, it's not like a crewman in his helmet. No, but Ensign is straight out of the academy, so you can be your 4th year in Starfleet piloting the flagship. I would want someone with more than that experience. I mean, there might be a prodigy, but I would want at least lieutenants. Because, I mean, just the flagship, it's a more important job than that. But whatever.
Eugene throws in 250.
Hey, Eugene, good to see you.
It's mostly autopilot, though. In critical situations, Ensign is replaced by Data, Riker, or even Picard.
Or they just tell. Or would it be great if Data's just flying on the side? She thinks she's piloting, but he's really doing it.
That's probably what's happening.
Because reactions are so quick. She thinks she's like. It's like a
peripheral vision, like you can see the button press that she's doing, and just keeping right up with her. Yep.
Her station does nothing.
I would buy that.
And then we get a really weird edit. So they warp away, and instantly the shuttle goes wrong, which in the editing looks as if they warp away and instantly it goes wrong, because there's no established shot of them going anywhere, and yet they say in dialogue, muddled in dialogue, they've got roughly to the planet-ish, but it's a really, really bad edit. It's very clunky. It's like, oh, what? Doesn't work.
So the port thruster blew out and caused this problem. And I gotta say, I love the user interface on these panels. It's clean, it's crisp, it looks good. It's kind of got that motion picture Federation vibe to it, but
old school.
It's not Starfleet. It looks different, and I like it. So that's a really nice touch for such a little ship.
I assume that the LCARS 3.1 got circulated to non-Federation worlds, and they this is 3.1 patch 8 custom derivation 6. It's all based on the original LCARS. Because you're right, but that feels old. you know,
Yeah.
in the Trek
Yeah.
world. And gotta say that forward view on the views of the set, that's a really detailed effing view. They put so much work into that front view. That's really good looking and very unique. That's never seen anything like that before.
No, it looks really good.
Although a lot of panels that aren't lit up,
They're just stuck on.
Yeah. Although, boy, those planets look so unremastered. I mean, those are absolutely awful planet models. Like, those are really bad. So I thought this one had the short end of the visual effects budget, but the model shots later on are great. So what happened to these planets? They look really poor. They're like a TV movie. Really, really bad. It's weird.
But they aim for the one moon, and the mean surface temperature is 55 degrees Celsius, which I didn't hear in dialogue.
Yeah,
but there it is, and goddamn, that's warm.
Yeah, I mean, we can both sympathize with that, and that's like, you know, we were in England, like, oh my god, it's 38. And it's like 50 something. But yeah, great breeze.
Well, yeah,
not really. But yeah, it's quite a long sequence, but it does feel very procedural. My only problem with it is that you never cut to the exterior, and so it has a sort of disconnect. They're saying stuff, and when with the obvious cut point, they just keep filming. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Well, he asks Crusher to reconfigure the thrusters to manual input, and Wesley's like, I'll try, but this thing looks about 100 years old.
Yep.
We don't have Federation resources. Captain, take the helm, and he goes in. I love the switch around in the cabin. It was good.
Well, actually, they all do all positions actually, except Wes isn't pilot. But yeah, they all swap around. No, I really quite like the guy's jabs on the Federation. They're not negative so much as matter of fact. And he's gone again. Oh, there he is. I like his jabs. It's like, dude, I'm not a starship with infinite resources. I've had my dad owned this ship. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I really every time he has a jab, like, and the counter is absolutely valid. Yeah, it's 100 years old. Yeah, because it works. What do you want from me? It's like a phaser. They still work. Like, space travel hasn't changed much in a long time on my planet, mate. He's just used to shiny tech. So I actually really like the jabs. I just wish the guy had more interesting scenes. You know? I wish he was more interesting.
I didn't mind him. Yeah, I didn't mind him so much. He was actually a half-decent guy. I was like kind of an asshole, but then watching this, it's like he's just older, gruff, knows his stuff. Doesn't want to, it's his ship. He wants to. And he's not really an asshole at the end. I thought I always remember him being more of a dick than he actually is. So.
Well, no, he comes at it from. I get the sense he didn't know research who Picard is at all, like the way he greets him. So he's just like, I was told to pick up this captain. I'm a captain. He's a captain. I really don't care. And then there's this kid. He could be like 80, and so of course, when he reaches the point at the end, he's like, I know better, kid. Of course, but it comes across. You're right. It's not dick. It's just like, of course I know better. I have 50 years experience. How much do you have? 3, and I was an ensign. Yeah,
but I'm a genius.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't care.
And like I said, I don't think he knew Picard was at all. So it's just like, I mean, why would I trust this guy? So actually, I absolutely agree. It's that fine line of, he's been a captain for 30 years. I mean, this is what he does, apart from the dying bit.
But yeah, all the systems on the shuttle are out, and Picard's like, we got to find shelter because this is going to be like an oven in this heat, which I can appreciate. I'm glad they said that, actually, because a lot of times they just stay on the shuttle. But
well, it depends if they have power or not. If they have any power, they can life support, and then it's fine. But yeah, this is very much like the shuttle is dead. And it does look good. They succeed in the outdoors bit quite effectively. End of my sentence.
All right, cool. I love how Picard's like, we need something to protect our heads and our eyes, which they don't get anything for their eyes. But anyway. And Captain, get your medical supplies and food and water rations. Well, the medical... Right, but food and water, not so much. I have a replicator. It's totally screwed now. And again, Picard's like, well, surely you have emergency supplies. This isn't a starship. I have to choose what I carry. There's weight capacities and stuff. I'm doing short jaunts. Why would I need food? I understand emergency, but still, I agree with him in a way.
Well,
you got to admire his Jedi robes. Just gotta say, I always get Jedi robe vibes off this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of a more leathery jacket, but yeah, the undershirt absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a good procedural here, and yeah, it's true. I mean, if you're in an alien culture, replicators are the standard. I mean, you know, a box of rations is fine, but if you're ferrying supplies, and that box might be the difference between life or death of the colony, or the difference in profit to keep a ship going or not. You know, I mean,
yeah.
You know, some people. It's like if you you know, you had to bring medical well, that's a little bit different, but yeah, you understand both sides. And considering we know the exact size of the ship, it's tiny. Like Picard was on a little bench at the back, a one-seat bench. There's no sleep. There's no bed. It's a single shuttle. Like you go where you go, and you don't sleep. It's tiny. And I'm sure he's actually never crashed before. The way he kind of vibes it, just like replicators never failed. I mean, what do you want from me? Yeah. Although it would have been nice, since they have the phasers, it would have been nice if they could like get a replicator working, have like a bit of water and food, and they say we're going to have power for one replicator, you know, use. You know, they could add a bit more sciencey bit to it. Because the water, but besides the end, like their walk through the desert has no real effect on them, so it's kind of a moot point a little bit. And when he says, you know, at the end, Picard needs water to live, it's like the water will not make him die less.
It's not magical healing water.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, I understand that too. I thought the same thing, but at the same time, you know, to heal, the body needs to stay hydrated. So even the healthiest of person is going to be screwed without water. So
yeah, but with you know, massive internal bleeding.
He's lost blood too, and internal bleeding. So anyway,
but yeah, these are some decent-ish things. Although they don't really use the outside world to its fullest, they just kind of like show the same look. It's always just the flatness of in these close-ups. Like it's weird, you know.
And Dan Leckie, hopefully I said that right that time, puts in £2. Why doesn't the Traveler save them? Because he's not paying attention.
Yeah. He's
I
busy.
have a question too. Why is Picard's uniform so dirty after the crash? It's not like anything's happened yet, really, unless there was like a panel exploded. Maybe could be. I don't know.
I assume because the way they edit it, it's crashing. He goes forward. I assume his jacket goes on the panel and it's more grubby than anyone else's. I mean, he's in the pilot chair, so he's in the the one that's most used. Yeah, it is weird. And also his comm badge is more grubby, distinctly. I was thinking this in a minute later. I'm like, you know, they had to build whole new uniform, like make whole new uniforms and fit them, just to then destroy them. You know?
Yeah, I've always wondered that. When you see really dirty uniforms, or they go in mud or whatever, like you gotta wash them, but that affects the fabric, and a lot of these fabrics shrink, and you know, you see the shrinking uniforms in TOS because the sleeves get shorter and stuff, and then they replace them. Yeah. So it's like I would not want my costumes to get dirty ever. So that they have spare ones that they have for stunt stuff. Like it makes you wonder. Anyway, yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah. Every time I see a dirty uniform, I'm like, ooh. Or when they put shit on the carpet of the set, somebody's got to clean that.
Yeah.
And not leave a stain. Like what the hell?
Oh, space stain. Yeah, I guess I was more thinking with like the tattered uniforms. Yeah, they keep them. That is a custom version. It is now tattered. But yeah, they probably used like an earlier season 1 version. I mean, he's gonna sweat the shit off in this, you know. Well, it would have been kind of nice. Again, these are like little comments, but the episode's quite dull. So any little cool science thing would have been nice to add. It would have been nice if like because they don't seem as affected by the heat as you would think they would be. They've just come out of this oven. Boiling sun. I mean, they're in aircon all day, every day. Have they even been to a location this hot in the last year? 2 years? You know what I mean? They don't live in this, ever. So it would have been nice if, and this is again a little point, if the guy was like, oh my god, this is much hotter than my planet. Why aren't you sweating? Why aren't you feeling it, you guys? And it's like, oh, our uniforms are extremely efficient with heat. You know, we can be 10 degrees. We won't feel 10 degrees worth of excess because of fabric. Because you'd think, and it's quite a tight fabric, that it would be like sweating the balls off, but you never get a sense of uncomfortable. So it would have been nice they'd give out a little bit of, this fabric really breathes.
Well, they explain that in like the technical manuals and stuff, that the material is good for all environments. Well, except for very extreme environments, but yeah.
It would have been nice, because a little bit of disconnect doesn't feel as hot as it. Like, there never is the real sense of heat that there should be, which is weird, because you've just been always to go outside, and doesn't feel that hot. Yeah. But then,
I agree.
You get this great miniature shot. That came out of nowhere. I was like, great planet, brilliant planet, great miniature shot. Wow, cool, okay.
Yeah, really impressive.
Yeah.
Really looks good.
Okay, really 3D.
So they find out it's an unmanned sublight freighter. Of indeterminate origin.
Well, Stuart, no, it's a Klingon freighter. That was in the Roman. That was in the Klingon neutral zone when there wasn't a Klingon neutral zone. It's that same freighter. Yeah. Haha.
It's not leakage from their engines. It's actually elements that have been inactive inside for approximately 300 years. So it's basically a garbage scow full of waste materials like the Malon. And the message here, guys, is don't just push your problems onto the next generation. Literally, you know what I'm saying? We got to clean up our crap, do it right, not make as much waste. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it basically just was floating through space for 300 years and got caught in the orbit or the gravitational pull of this planet and settled into orbit. So.
It's a very good, gentle message, like you say, of don't be these guys. Because some race built afraid to put bad stuff in it, sent it out, boom. Although you wonder then why didn't they send it into their own sun? I was expecting a line of dialogue where they said we can't blow it up and we can't do anything because it'll destroy it. So it's like, well, why not just send it in their own sun? Bit of a plot hole there, but whatever. But it's and all I kept thinking was, it's a garbage scow. Scott is like, what?
Oh, I was going to make a comment here about the JJ Enterprise. JJ Prize, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
And yes, they're going to help. They're going to do their bit. Although there should have been another line, because as soon as when they warped out earlier, they go into warp 6, and I'm thinking, guys, deadly radiation levels killing a planet. Why does he want them to die? It's such a stupid number. Why warp 6? People died because Riker didn't want to go faster.
That's the standard cruising speed.
People died though.
No, nobody died yet. I mean, they talk about the remote islands that it's affecting. Yeah.
Well, they've had more hours to solve the problem if they'd got there quicker.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm just saying. There's a reason the charts say all those specs for all of our ships that we look at. Standard cruising speed, 6. Emergency speed.
Well, this is an emergency.
Not for them, though. Nobody on the ship is being affected, so it's not an emergency for them.
Weird.
Yeah, I know. So they're going to try to push the thing into the sun, but the Maltesian asteroid belt lies between there and the sun. So we'll have to take it ourselves. We'll use deflectors to clear a path, blah, blah, blah. But Control Forge doesn't like the idea of getting that close to use a tractor beam because it's going to affect the Enterprise. And so they decide to put thrusters on it and remote pilot it into the sun. So,
and they're going to send some construction modules. What is that? They didn't say work bees.
Unmanned work bee, maybe.
I mean, it'd have to be unmanned, wouldn't it? Otherwise, they'd really be dead.
Controlled. Yeah, exactly.
Basically, Discovery repair bots. That's all I could think of. I mean,
I didn't even think that. That ruined it for me.
That's what it is. I mean, unmanned work bee is just a repair pod.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
back on the planet. I appreciate he's in the shade. Little detail, I appreciate it.
Yeah, before we go back to the planet, though, they find out that Picard hasn't arrived yet, and they need our help to search. And it's like, we'll get there as soon as we can. If this goes well, we'll be there right away.
I bet Riker wishes he went to warp 9 now, It could have been done
Yep.
already.
Yep, we would have had this done already. Yep.
Yep. That would have been great if Crusher was like, Warp 6. I didn't know. Cut. That's good. I like that.
Engage warp 6. Smack. Radiation poisoning. Warp 9.
Wouldn't it be great if they're that close? If they did the classic line of Ensign, how quick go to warp 6? 3 hours. Warp 9.8. A minute and a half. It's like, I mean, which do I choose? Which do I choose?
You got to think. I think that every time they say warp 6 and it's emergency, Data's sitting there going, just does the calculations in his head. You'd be there like 3 hours faster if you just did this. But I'm not going to say anything because it's not my place.
I'd say every single time. I can see it be like he lives in eternity. He's just like, that's good. I'm 3 hours of boredom. Riker, come on.
I think they do it because all Starfleet personnel are adrenaline junkies. They need to have that deadline. They need to have a ticking clock, so they can't get there too fast. Because otherwise, it's just like, oh yeah, ho hum.
So what he's saying is, they don't want to make it too easy for themselves. They want the challenge still. It's the future. You got some challenge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Jarzia,
That's brilliant.
$5. In DS9, Rocks and Shoals, it was so hot, 53 degrees Celsius, that the Jem'Hadar makeup was melting into the actors' eyes, making them red, which kind of sells cell withdrawal. That's brutal, dude.
Yeah, there were some amazing stories about that one. It is a brutal episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Picard makes an arrow to show that we headed to the mountains. And dude says we got some phasers that work. 4 phasers.
No food, but 4 phasers.
Well, mostly the places you'd crash, you'd be able to hunt something with the phaser.
Oh, no, I just find it like a good character moment. Just like, it's 4 phasers.
But I love how he's like, mountains, are you crazy? They're too far away, we'll never make it. Picard's like, hey, I respect you. You got any other options?
Yep.
Guy looks around. Nope.
Yep.
Well, then. Hate to say I told you so, but let's go.
It's just beautiful, Picard. This is how Picard should be. He's like, oh, no, sorry, yep, what do you think? And the tone is... We know the internal monologue of Picard's like, what do you think, dummy? But the way he says it's like, nope, fair enough, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, moving on. Like, it's still respectful. Really interesting line here. But boy, I mean, those... I kind of like, though, that they never say how close the mountains are, because you really can't tell. They could easily be 50 miles, 80 miles. Like, you really cannot tell.
That's the thing. In the desert, it's deceptive because it's all flat, right? So.
And it would have been quite anticlimactic if Wesley was like, oh, it's only 2 miles away. That's fine, then! Yeah.
Love how Picard says, I suggest a steady pace, not a brisk one. Like, you know, survival training at its best.
Yeah.
Judge 1981, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Hey.
$5. This doesn't look like Dune at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny.
Anyway, yeah. So they bugger off to the mountains, and you get some nice scenes of the sun, and
it's all kind of the same shot again and again, but it's you know, it's effective. Just it's lacking the meat, and the character isn't that interesting. And I find it interesting that Wesley, when he pulls them up, he doesn't say, here, let me help you. He's like, see, I told you, Picard. Like, he has a jab at him. It's like, that's
you were worried how tough the captain is.
Look at you're the weak one. What an unnecessary jab. Why are you being mean there? That's unnecessary. That was a bit weird. And then he swigs the drinkies.
Yeah, what you think I thought was water. I was like, you douche. And then you find out it's not water. But anyway.
But then, as I said earlier, they don't ever really have an issue with water. So, like, it never really plays a part in the dehydrations.
That's the thing. If it was water, Wesley's actively scanning for water. This tricorder.
Yep.
Did you find water? Nope. You know, you think you would have picked up the liquid if it was water. It's not water. We know that.
I mean, that's part of the payoff, isn't it?
Yeah. That thing you can't find puts in $5. TMP era phasers. Yes.
Yeah.
Love them.
And I appreciate that Picard didn't say, a vintage. I kind of like they don't need to mention it. It's just like,
Mhm.
we know they're old. We know they're rustic. The whole thing's old.
But we also find out there's an energy reading at the mountains,
Yes.
but it's low EM and it's getting stronger. It's not sure what it is.
Mm.
Picard's like, is it a life form? He says it could be. It's a repeating energy pattern, and it's it could be the magnetic properties of the rocks.
Yes.
But it is a fairly organized pattern, so it could be something like a life form.
The problem with a very effective mundane conversation, which is very logical, is that it's not very exciting to watch. Like, that's a good little dialogue of like, oh, it could be natural, and they explain how it could be natural, but it's not that exciting. Like, it's not a well use of the scene, but it's very logical. It's a weird balance, this one.
But then they find the caves that have hand-hewn rock stairs.
And that's the weird transition. It goes from these big, bright outside bits, clearly like 50 miles still from the thing, to suddenly, boop, we're inside.
Yep.
And they don't look more thirsty. They don't even make mention to it. It's really goes from being like a vibe to losing the entire vibe. It's very strange. I get why. And they do a good job matching the lighting, to be fair. Outside to inside, that's just the set wall. Good job for that. But they really needed something of them on a cliff as well. I get, obviously, they just filmed, in a next to a parking lot, and then the mountains, actually buildings next to them, etc., etc. But this edit, again, does not... I mean, look how far away they are as well. There's big, epic rocks. Like, it would be better to film at Rascal's Rocks and then, be able to do more things. So it doesn't really work.
But then they have to move Rafi's trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That hasn't happened yet. Anyway.
116 people, 116 people watching, 83 likes, 0 dislikes. Awesome. How many likes do you want to see, Stuart? How many likes will you challenge our audience to?
We can hit 100 easily.
100.
117 of you here. Some of you haven't hit like. Just hit like. We get to 100 really quickly. So yeah, there's no moisture in the cave at all. They have the conversation, well, caves are made by water. Well, no, sometimes it's volcanic activity.
That was cool. I didn't even think of that. I like that.
Yeah. But it's obviously somebody's been here, because there are, like I said, hand-hewn stairs in there in the rock. So then the guy drops his drink, and what's he like? You have water? And the guy, to his like I said, he's not an asshole. He really isn't. He's like, I wouldn't hide water. It's called Dresky. It's from my planet. Picard's like, it's alcohol. It's medicinal. It's for emergencies. I was going to share it with you.
And that's the acting, because you really don't buy that he would share it with you, but that's not because of the way he acts it. He acts it very sincerely, weirdly enough. But it's like, why would he share it with them? Like, it's more of a practical thing.
I think it's one of those things, if need be, if it's medicinal, as he says, he would have shared it with them, but he chose, better not to tell them just in case we don't need it. If we do, look, hey.
Yeah, I guess it's also that we only see him swig it once. They don't play it as that classic trope of every other scene. He turns a corner, swigs.
He's an alcoholic.
Exactly, yeah. It is played for that, and so I could kind of see that. It would have been nice if he was like ill, like he broke his leg, and well, that would have made sense. But yeah, and like you say, not an arsehole. It's just he wants it back, and Picard instantly overrules him, and he doesn't fight it very hard.
At all.
Yeah, I mean his body language is right to like, hey, but then he gives in. So it's yeah.
Because he kind of agrees with Picard, like, this is more valuable as a coolant and a disinfectant. Put it with the medical stuff. And he's like, it's mine.
Yeah.
But
and they're all armed as well. Like, this is an unusual situation where everyone's in like a.
Well, he is, and Dargo, or whatever the hell his name is, Durko, has 2 phasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, tonally it's really interesting. Like it's odd.
And we should go back to where they're still outside. You see Wesley's phaser? It's like he's gonna shoot his dick off with the way he has it in his belt. It's a really bad position for a weapon. Just saying.
Yeah.
I saw that, I'm like, ooh, I don't care what kind of weapon it is. You don't do that.
Yes, a safety is never secure enough to stop dick blow off. And little side note, I really liked the tricorder in this. The little very thin scanning bit. I never really registered. I never remember this version where it being that thin and little and advanced. I kind of like that version. Like, I always forget this one exists. I like it, actually.
But hey, we're back. with the cargo ship and the
Oh,
Enterprise.
it's the oh yeah.
And here's where they're projecting the bulk of the radiation will affect 3 small island groups with very sparsely populated areas, which is fine. So they're replicating hydronoline, which they later pump through the ship.
Hmm.
But this is down for the planet. And then of course Deanna is very concerned about Beverly. Um, it's going to be like a week or more if from a vessel from a starbase to go search. But the mining people are sending all the vessels they can, and there are many reasons that the shuttlecraft may have been delayed. They didn't crash. It's fine. And Beverly's like, yeah, that's fine, but I'm busy. So
it's a weird moment. I get Crusher's stoicism, but because the scene is about this and it never really comes back properly, you're just left like, okay, they're professionals, so why do we have to dwell on it? It's strange. And Troy is okay, but she doesn't add much of her own unique charm to it. You wonder why she wasn't used very much, because she's not being given a really like she should have said like, I can sense your this. Oh yeah.
The 2 most important men in your life are missing.
Yeah.
Now you have a crisis to deal with.
Wouldn't this have been the great moment?
You're on about him being the dad, aren't you?
There, yep. If they throw it in this one, and Troy, like Beverly, there's this great moment when she walks across the room at camera, and Troy changes focus to her, and she's like, and Beverly turns around dramatically like, did you sense it? I did. No, don't say it out loud. I must. Your baby daddy. The shame. And then move on. It's just like, this was the episode it was revealed. This was the episode. They threw it in the middle in a who cares scene. Picard's the baby daddy.
Yeah.
Glad you agree.
Wellington Smith puts in $5. Gin is medicinal, but Romulan ale isn't. Or is it the other way around?
Yes.
I'll never know.
But we do know they have a 3D model of the ship here. Ultra low poly, but a real 3D model, which we don't really get. So that's awesome to see.
And you see the thruster modules, the attachment.
Yeah, it's cool.
But yeah, the miners are wondering when the Enterprise is going to join them in the search, and Riker's like, hey, just stand by. If this goes well, we'll be right on our way.
And at warp 9.8, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. See, now it's their emergency. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Wouldn't that be a great dark dig at this? Like, an ensign, warp 9 on my mark. Yes, sir!
So they fire up the thrusters up to 40%.
And they actually do model shots for this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, okay. We never get this. Oh, okay, cool.
And one of them detaches and flares off. And anyway, so doesn't work. They try compensating with the other ones, but the structural integrity has now been compromised of the barge. So the disintegration is continuing. And I'm like, really? One little module flying off affected the structural integrity of that ship so much. It is a 300-year-old ship, that being said. So, but still.
Now, do you think this means, because this is a completely unchanged model from that episode, do you think the Klingons were also rocking a 300-year-old design, or who invented it first and it looks exactly the same? Like, they didn't even change it at all. It's weird.
If it works, don't fix it. We know that's the motto for the Klingons. They've had ships for forever.
It would actually be kind of cool if they said this was a Klingon freighter, just a little like.
Well, that would imply that the Klingons were douchebag polluters.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. This is a good solution if you threw it into the sun. And wouldn't it be great if they had a line where they got into the ship's logs and they said, "Oh no, this was set for the Kronos sun, it missed."
And slungshot back through time. This is from 100 years in the future, but it went 300 or 400 years back in time, and it's been floating around since.
Well, it's further than I would have gone, but yeah, that's actually it would have been kind of cool. But definitely should have been in Klingon freighter. It would have been nice, like, my people don't speak of that time, the great polluting era.
Yeah. So they go within 1,000 meters of the ship, and the radiation starts to increase.
Yep.
So they lock the tractor beam on, and they start heading towards try to crank out a better upper for that. So they go up to half impulse, then 3/4 impulse. That's not quite good, so they have to tone it down a bit. But I love that they did that. Go above what's safe.
Yeah, and there's dialogue about how let's create a new upper limit. It's a good line.
Yeah.
Well, I do think Frakes doesn't know where to go with these lines because they are 100%, except that moment pretty much, 100% office drama. They're not personal to any of them. No one's given anything character, so he's just saying them. And every single scene he has the same tone of voice and the same inclination. That's why it feels so flat. There's no like great spark of genius move. There's no great whatever. It's all very, very flat. And you would need something punchy to make this work. Or like you have a great like briefing scene with Riker and Worf, and Worf's give you a tactical option of how to blow it up successfully. Like some really good passionate lines. It's so devoid of that this whole it's weird. But I think this is where I was going to bring up the problem with Riker's plan. So as soon as the thrusters go wrong, he within, would you say, less than a minute tractor beams it.
Yes.
Like he is fearlessly right on task, and you got to give him credit as a captain. Like he is like commanding boom, right? Thing is, this is a no-name planet, as in no one important, with very limited population death. And he knows this will be deadly radiation levels, and he knows before they get to the sun. So this is ostensibly a suicide mission unless they do differently. All of the children on the ship, he's now possibly sentencing to death to save a planet in a plan that he knows was going to hurt them. Like, he's not even thinking, he's just doing.
This is where you separate the saucer section and use the battle section to
that would have been good.
Tractor it. That's one of the things I would have done.
That would have been great.
That's one of the things I would have done. Plus, I would have also, if you can't get it to the sun because of the asteroid field, and you don't have the time to take the time to get through, even though the asteroid field was not very much of a problem. Anyway,
yeah,
I would just tractor the thing. You know how solar systems have a plane where they have all the planets go this way, and then there's I would tractor the thing, get up to the highest speed I could, release it. It's going to keep going. It's space. And say, okay, it's safe enough, far enough away from the planet now. It's safe. What we're going to do, go help up Picard. Once we've got him, we're going to come back, and then we're going to take this piece of shit to the sun, so it doesn't bother anybody else. But in the meantime, it's not going to do anything if you just do that. So I would tractor it, crank up the speed as far as I could, release it, and get it away from the planet. And I would be saucer separated at the same time, so I wouldn't affect the crew or the non-crew, the families.
That is some solid captaining right there, Stuart. You may be captain of a web series, but you're earning some higher captain bars there. That's great. Because like I say, I just kept thinking, like, how many parents on this ship would say, oh yes, please give my child who's 1, who hasn't got the same radiation tolerance.
Yeah. You're
giving her cancer to save a crew, to save a planet. Now, yes, saving them is good, but he doesn't, like, there's other things you could do, as you said. He acts so quickly, and it hurts people in his own ship so quickly. It's such a stupid plan. Soul separation, that's a brilliant idea. And how quickly could you do that? Probably,
quick.
Yeah. I mean, and a skeleton crew in the Star Drive. And that also. Sorry.
That's the other thing. You minimize your crew as well, not just the families.
Well, hey, actually, fucking just put Data.
That's the other solution. Was just send Data out on a shuttle with a tractor beam, because some shuttles have.
Wouldn't say powerful enough to tractor beam. Wouldn't be.
Maybe not. But Data, just beam them over to the goddamn freighter.
Well, that's under. Yeah, they never talk about its own engines, but put Data on the Star Drive section. Have everyone else on the saucer. Like there's a solution. End of story. I'm sure the ship will be damaged by the radiation. Easy to fix some people, but yeah, I mean, you also wonder, like they keep tractor beam, but let it go on let it go on momentum, leave, get radiation levels down, come back for the final hurdle, or like you said, just they never talk about momentum. It's as if they're pulling something in a river. There's a real disconnect with logic here, and there's also a couple of VFX shots where the freighter looks as big as the Enterprise, if not bigger, and it's absolutely not bigger. Like,
No, it's
the freighter is absolutely insanely huge in this episode, which I
Well, you got to
don't
think
buy.
you got to think too. Most planets are like that are habitable are a certain distance from the sun, like Earth, right?
Hmm.
This thing isn't going to be spewing. Once you get past a certain, it's not even that far really. Just
Nope.
because it got trapped in the orbit of the planet that it was doing it. So you just have to get it out of that range, and you're fine.
Yeah.
It just bugs me. I understand too, like not spreading radiation throughout the solar system by having it just crash into the asteroids. Because another
Yes.
solution,
That. Yeah.
just launch it that way. Happens to it, but
Yeah.
that would spew like radiation
They.
on the
They.
inner solar system, and then
They 100% needed a briefing room scene to escalate the shit out of this freighter to say its trajectory is absolutely critical. If an asteroid hits it, it will burst like oil tankers in olden day Earth. It will ruin the ecosystem of this entire solar system. It's very like
yeah,
something. It just feels like it's got chemical waste. I mean, they don't even
yeah.
mention torpedoing it. And I was waiting for the line and the counter line of no, we can't do that. It'll do bad things. There's not even a line about it. It's weird.
And Wellington Smith start the Janeway maneuver.
I was
Yeah,
gonna make that joke.
initiate the Janeway protocol.
Yeah. Source separation costs money, not for the separation bit, but for the after the fact. We've already got all of the already got the existing shots. Hi. That was a great discussion, Stuart. We absolutely just broke this one a bit more. That was the most excited we were, and that was the what we should have done instead. Yeah. Good stuff. What is everyone saying? The Janeway Protocol. All they had to do was overcome the gravity pull on it and watch from afar to track progress. Done. Yep. But you can't torpedo it, really? Well, who knows? Goldilocks zone, yep. Voyager had to divert mail and freighter, yes it did. I think they all knew this is a poor episode. Actually, I wonder what the memory alpha bonus information for this as well. Wait for Stuart to come back. What does the behind the scenes say? Because we're almost done with it. Almost.
I'm here. It's fine. Don't panic, guys.
Hello.
Hello, but we're back to the water fountain.
Well, we introduce it.
Which just reminds me of the water fountains that I had in public school. Anyway. Yeah. So it's got a force field around it. And I would love to learn the story behind this force field and who put it there, and no, Jay Donaldson, I don't know. Says, I wonder if the cat knows just how much we miss him when he goes away.
Aww.
Thank you, guys. Anyway, yeah, so the guy's like, oh, we can, what was he's like, we can try to find a way to deactivate this maybe, and what's his nuts there says, to shoot at it, Mr. Durgo. And then we get this weird energy being, creature, sentinel, protector, security system. Don't know what it is exactly, but it comes out and basically encases his phaser in something, which we see later, and then causes a rock collapse or some instability, and it's going to hit Wesley, and Picard pushes him out of the way, and rocks fall. And that's the summation of my scene.
I'm just reading the memory alpha, and it is surprising what they're saying about this as the behind the scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Will Wheaton actually asked to leave, so this was his, asked to leave for this. Wasn't let go. And they said the way Tasha was sent off, they determined to actually give a full episode send off, do it properly, And this was written expressly when Will wanted to leave. It was expressly written for this, which obviously makes sense. And then Jerry Taylor says, that's the episode I probably put more work into than any script that year. And the dreaded technical story, which is the garbage scour in space, along with very delicate kind of interpersonal story. So this very super technical thing going on at the same time as a super delicate interpersonal thing. The shuttle was named after Larry Nemeczek.
Yeah.
The fountain almost didn't work. And reception. Michael Piller said he thinks Joe did a wonderful job on the script, and one of the favourite directors worked on it. He says, yes, the two guys on the planet wasn't very original, and the story of the Garbage Scour was not great shakes either, but things handled pretty well. And Rick Berman says, that's one of my favourite episodes. I think it was very poignant, and the acting of the part of our guest cast, Nick Tate, Patrick's work, and Will was just excellent. I thought it was a terrific piece of drama. Ooh.
Wow. Well, we got some super chats, which I've been neglecting, unfortunately.
Oh, excellent.
Judge 1981, $5.
Hey.
An environmentally sound Klingon scares me more. Jeff Jacobs, $2. 100 likes. Sweet. 150. Bet we can. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Didn't think you were going to be here, Jeff, but thank you. Fleetpaw Swiftback, $2. We hit 100. I think we can do 150. Hashtag make Fleetpaw pay. And we also got Fleetpaw Swiftback with $5. Sorry. Didn't the Gould set it to protect the Primtas? Oops, wrong universe. The Prime animated series. What? Yeah. I don't know if I've seen that one yet, that you're referring to, but anyway, Pickard is down and out. He's got a broken right leg, a fractured left arm, and he's got a good concussion, head wound. So, and the other guy's like, don't lie to him, tell him the truth. There's internal bleeding too. I've seen this before. Which, again, there's the experience speaking. He's not deliberately, I don't think, being an asshole. He's just trying to teach the kid how to do things right.
And you get a sense that on his planet, it's those that are injured are more likely to sacrifice themselves to save those that are not injured because they're in a dire situation, and caring for him might be the difference between them dying and them surviving. So the way he says it's more just like a, the slowest one will slow us down. If we die because he's dying, would he want that? No. It's kind of a different cultural thing. But Wesley takes over quite well here. The medicaliness is pretty good. Patrick's acting, I think, is pretty good. But yeah, the falling out of debris is stupid though, because normally when you push somebody, you also have momentum like space. He wouldn't stop. He would push and fall Wesley. So the entire scene is stupid and nonsensical, and it should have been done better, and it wasn't. So it's a shame.
And then, oh my god, and then the Dresky, the drink, I love how he's putting it on a cloth, and the guy's like, save some of that for us, and then he takes the cloth and puts it on his uniform. Like, I understand there's a wound under that, but there's a wound on his head. There's not, when you see the wound later, when you see the wound later on the uniform, it's like you can't really see the wounds. What are you doing, Wes? He's making it, I know what he's doing. He's covering it up so that later, when they find the body, he'll smell like alcohol. Like, he was drunk and he wasn't saving me or nothing. He stumbled and fell and died.
He was a drunk pilot. Drunk piloting got us crashed here.
Yeah, that's how I crashed.
God. Wow, it went dark, eh?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's not too bad.
But they're just before the guy leaves, very much Jedi-like robes there with the little phaser sticking in his belt.
Yes.
Just has that look.
Yeah. I quite like Patrick's head wound. As soon as he pulls it away and you see blood on the thing, you're like, ooh, that's not good. Yeah. I quite like Patrick's, like, he obviously got himself really psyched for this bit of dialogue. You kind of do feel his hurt.
Yeah.
Although I will say the way he keeps being ill. If he's that badly injured with no real medical, because they don't ever see him like hypo spraying. There's nothing to imply he's being stabilized. I was really surprised he kept being able to talk. Given this scene, it's implied he'll be okay, worse. But he says completely stable. So there's a real loss of power in his injury.
There's a moment there where he stops talking and just like Wesley's like, Captain.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Apart from that, it's weird how they just lose all that power.
But this is where he tells Wes that he's going to have to rein in Durgo. He's willful and stubborn, which is dangerous in situations like this. You're going to have to deal with it because I can't help you right now. He said, and I love how he even diagnoses himself. He has no feeling in my right leg, and my vision is blurred. I'm going to get worse, not better.
Yep. My God, what a professional Starfleet officer. My God. Where was this guy in Star Trek Picard? Well, I guess he was flung on a rooftop with no injuries at all. I still think he hit his head and that was all a delusion, because who the hell would write that? He gets flung and no injury, no hospital. It's what a stupid thing to write.
Yep.
And no one thought that was a stupid thing. If you're going to show us he's old, don't have him hit the ground at 50 miles an hour and not even hurt his back. Idiots. But then you get another idiotic moment. Absurdly big freighter.
I was going to say, I never noticed it, so you said it. I'm like, I didn't really think it looked that big in this episode. And then as soon as I went to this frame, I was going to say, good God.
It's ridiculous. Like, it's dangerous. Doesn't need to be...
Remember, it's 1,000 meters behind the Enterprise at this point. Locked on with a tractor beam. Because they went to the furthest extreme. Like, they say 1,000, moves to 1,000 meters and lock on.
That's not that far, though.
It's still far enough.
Yeah.
So the ship, it should look a lot smaller than it does, is what we're saying.
Less than 50%. I mean, that is bad. Bad.
Yes. But they're pumping hyaluronan additive into the ship's environmental control systems.
I like that.
Which will last for another 38 minutes. But so they seal off all non-operational areas. They group the crew and their families in the interior corridors of Deck 9 and 10.
Families do get mentioned.
Yep. So they're in the very middle of the saucer section, essentially, which is... Well, you think he'd move them to the front of the ship? Because that's another... I don't know how much room that would give, but still, you're getting that much farther away from the radiation instead of in the center. I understand there's a lot of protection in the center because all the saucer around it, but move them to the very front of the ship. Maybe the ship would become top heavy at that point and wouldn't be able to fly. It's fucking...
Oh yeah, I guess by that, but yeah, I was about to say, well, yes, but they probably have heavy duty bulkheads at the inside. But yeah, if you're on the other side of those bulkheads, you get two sides of the bulkhead and every deck in between them. Yeah. And both, just cram 10 forward with 1,000 people. Or
they already have drinks so that you're not so worried about the situation.
They should evacuate the crew into shuttles and have them leave. Evacuate the kids into shuttles and do a shot of them leaving. Because you got a lot of shuttles in the ship. Like, I would be happy to say they could evacuate all of the children and teens happily. So it's things like that. They're literally killing the children. Because I mean, how many women that are pregnant lose their pregnancy because of radiation poisoning? Like, it doesn't have to be deadly levels. It can still be 99% deadly. Like, when you say it like that, like, it's just a stupid little plot that isn't well thought out. Even though apparently they spent a lot of time on it, it's not well thought out.
Well, this is where they try to crank up the speed. Sorry, I mentioned that earlier, and at this point.
Yeah.
But the tractor beam starts to shear once they get about a 3/4 impulse, and so they need to cut it down. But they have 38 minutes until they start getting lethal exposure, basically, and it's going to be 51 minutes to clear the asteroid field. So that's why they're upping the power. So they talk about bringing on more fusion reactors and stuff to compensate for it.
But they also say it's not about how much power they have, it's about the heat caused by how much power and regulating it.
Yes.
Which is a very unique way of stating it. I've never really heard that before. So yeah, we can pump more in, but we have to be very manual with it and really, like, it's a lot of effort.
Everybody's like, blast shield goes up, blast shield down.
Yeah, it is that silly.
But back on the planet side of things,
Yeah.
this is where we find out the phaser is encased in selenium, selenium fibers, which were electronically deposited. So, I mean, it looks cool. Fiberglass casing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, it looks like a spider's web of like a sci-fi spider's web.
Yep, yep. And the thing like peaks energy-wise when people move towards the fountain. So they talk about the thing being a sentry, a protector of the water, and
I mean, stuff we've all understood. I mean, this is not, you know.
Yeah. But so Durgo's got a great idea. I'm gonna fire at it from over there. You phaser up over here, and it'll go towards that because you'll be firing at full power. I'll be firing at lower power, which is a great plan actually. And Wesley's like, "There's no proof that it goes for the higher." And he's like, "Well, I'm the older one here. This is what we're doing."
I mean, it's not so much there's no proof it's going to go after the heavier one. It's like, why would 2 phasers be enough to beat through his force field? And it wouldn't.
I don't think that's what they're trying to do here, though. I think he wants to draw the thing out again so that Wesley can take more readings with the tricorder. Because it's not said that they're trying to break down the force field.
But the way the guy holds the phaser after the first one's hit, he like stops firing, refires, and then gets hit. Like, he's obviously trying to damage the force field, trying to get through it. Oh, I see. He would stop firing.
Yeah, and he does make the point too, and this is where again he's not an asshole. He says, and while we're sitting around here trying to figure this thing out, your captain's dying. Wounds like that, most men would be dead already. If he doesn't get water, so you better start firing and do your part. So he is trying to, I'm sure there's selfish motivation there, like he wants the water as well, but at least he tells Wesley that it's for a cap.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. His first instant gut reaction is to save the guy. Obviously, he'll save himself, but yeah, that was nice. But I don't see his plan here, really. Like, there is no plan, it's just, I'll fire more weapons. It's like, basically, it's the Cage approach. We'll just fire more weapons, that'll do it. And that's it, really, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. But let's talk about now briefly why the fountain and energy beings and energy field.
Don't know. I mean, I wish they would have gone into that. It could be that somebody had a settlement nearby, 100 years ago or something, and they set this up to protect it from, roaming nomads or thieves trying to get their water. That's kind of what I get from it. I don't think it's a life form that comes out and attacks them. I think it's a sentry system, like a technology of some sort.
I mean, it's trying to build it, etc.
Yeah. I don't know. It's never gone into, so.
And it is weird how it is basically completely ignored. I mean, almost the nth degree. It's like this is the entire MacGuffin, and yet we're not even going to ask why. And not that we have to get an answer, but it would have been nice if Wesley, like at the end, because there's a fade out and time has moved on unknowingly far, and now your mum's there. Great, cool. Would have been better if it happened. But we had a moment where Beverly's like, there's a fountain in the rock, and he's like, yes, I found some inscriptions on the wall and translated them. This was a shrine to this planet,
to the water god.
Yeah, like that. That's what I take from it. This is this is the sacred water of this planet, and this is like left by the culture.
Well, that would make sense on a desert moon. A water deity or god would be like the big kahuna, so protect this special stream.
But I wouldn't think they were the inhabitants, because that's really advanced tech. So I think some aliens just came to this planet one time and found the only water on the planet and then shielded it because they value just like Kazon, they value water. And that would have been nice to have a 5-second. Have him even more smart. He is wait for them because they went to for some reason they went warp 3 to save them. That's really weird. Really weird. Warp 3. They decipher some ruins. That would have been kind of cool.
And Dave L says, and not a single other body encased in the chamber when they got there.
That
would have been cool to have some
very cool.
Mysterious things covered in dust, which look like rocks. And then you brush up against it. And it's like, what's that? And you clear it off, and there's like people inside.
No, I like that. That's really good. It would have there's obviously a lack of time in this episode, which is weird because it's so slowly paced, and yet there's obviously a lack of time to do other things.
And maybe the selenium fibers like slowly decompose the body and just eventually just shrink into nothingness.
Hey, it becomes water, and the water
It converts all the water in the body.
and goes in the ground.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's disgusting.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so the guy gets. I'll credit to the force field looks brilliant. That is a really good looking effect, and even the shimmering thing once it's like at the end, doing it spasming, looks great. I'm really surprised by the good art design. It's like, oh, this is really original for them.
Yeah, and the encasing effect is cool too. When he gets encased and it goes up and just a look of terror on his face. That's really good.
Yeah.
Judge 1981, no $5.
Thank
if
you.
this water was so well guarded, wouldn't there be other clues like text, graffiti, something?
Well, no, because they just want you to die. You know, why warn a thief?
Yeah.
You know, you kill the thief. But I was really surprised they actually killed the guy. I thought this was a cocoon that he was just like preserved in. So when they say he's dead, I'm like, oh, is he? Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was his final mission.
It was. It really was. Yeah. Very abrupt, and it feels also meaningless as well. The way they phaser it achieves nothing. It's like there was no point in this, except you lost 2 of your phasers.
But we're back to space now. So Mr. LaForge has diverted power from the auxiliary generators, stabilized the tractor beam, and they're increasing their towing speed so they can clear the belts sooner. And yeah, then we literally get, lethal exposure in 1 minute, and they have some discussions, and anyway, so they get it up to full impulse, which is good. Then we get the 30-second warning, and then clearing the asteroid field now, which not a very impressive looking asteroid field, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, they only have to have a couple of asteroids in the middle to be dangerous. But yeah, it's a non-thing. You know, it's a non-thing. But the shot of the ship leaving is pretty, like, flies pretty good.
That's great. Yeah, because the computer warns 15 seconds to lethal exposure and then cut the barge loose. And that is a great shot. That is a great shot. I really do like that. So yeah.
But I'm it would have been nice to have some sense of side effects for 99.7% lethal exposure. That's a lot of exposure.
Even just like some blotching on the skin or something.
Yeah, that I thought was like, we have that in Voyager often. Like, why were they not getting radiation burns, or like fatigue, or the power systems being damaged? Like, it needed something. There was a complete disconnect with dangerous levels. You know, especially since the shield's absorbing a lot of it, and so you think it'd be more the shields that would go down and a flood of radiation which would then kill you. It's like it's going through the shields and the hull. So outside the shields, there's more radiation. Outside the hull's even more. You know, it was a poorly conceived idea. They thought they were smart, and while it was a procedural,
yeah,
they were not smart.
And kudos to them for the next shot, because this calls back to TOS.
Yep.
The Enemy Within, I believe. No, Turnabout Intruder. No, yes. Where Sulu's on the planet and he heats up the rocks with a phaser to get some heat in the cave, which is great. Love that. And this is actually a hard scene for me to watch, because Picard, his acting here is phenomenal. Where he starts to like cry a little bit and says, "Oh, I envy you, Wesley. You know, you're just at the beginning of this journey." Tells him about Boothby.
Who knew that was going to come back?
Yeah. And Wesley even brings up their shuttle trip that they had before. How he was dreading it, but 6 hours alone with you, turned out better than I thought. You opened up to me, and so this is a really great scene. I did not know that Will Wheaton was the one that wanted to leave the show, though.
So they gave him the scene. Yeah, no, it's good, and it's odd though, like I said earlier, because he starts out being like, "Where are you, Wesley?" So he's clearly delirious. But then he becomes completely non-delirious, and then becomes even more confident in his vocal patterns. And then he doesn't pass out at the end. He then turns confidently saying, with no like, "Ugh," it's like, "Wesley," or "Wesley, I'm proud of you." Like, it's great, but it doesn't connect with the other scenes. Like, either you're really ill, you're not really ill, you're hallucinating, you're not. they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. He's really injured, but he's totally fine.
Yes.
And Will Wheaton is not getting the best side of this scene. He just feels like he's acting, and like I said, whereas Patrick is really selling it, and it's quite a diverse scene. And Boothby didn't know I did Boothby was referenced to now, so that was quite surreal. Like you knew it was coming as soon as you like oh, it must be Boothby because that makes sense. But it's like, oh wow, it's weird. It's just it's weird.
But then the Enterprise is on the way, and they find some wreckage, and then they talk about the 2 planets that are possible that they could have crashed on, but they've all been searched. Well, we'll search them again. Actually, there's like some moons here that could support life. Which one's the closest to the wreckage? Let's go check that one out. Okay, I'd rather search a moon that's close to the wreckage than a planet. So I don't know why the miners had searched all the planets already, and what does that entail? I'm sure you could miss things when you're searching a planet. Anyway, so the Enterprise is here to save the day.
Yeah, and it seems weird the way that Geordie's like has to correct the Doctor because she assumes that some wreckage means destruction. Like everyone seems dumb in this scene. Just not on their game. Well, Doctor, some wreckage it's not enough to say it blew up. It's like I think you would tell you would elaborate if there was enough. Like it's just they're not speaking their character voices. They're just saying dialogue. You could interchange anyone's dialogue with anyone else's dialogue, and it would be the same. Swap out Troy for Beverly. Is that enough wreckage? Swap out LaForge for Wesley. Completely non-people dialogue. It's just they're just lines. It's weird.
Well, it's actually the next. Sorry.
Well, it's also too easy. They just they just go to they just follow the trail of the debris. Why don't the miners do that?
Yep.
That's it. There's no other steps.
Yep.
Weird.
It's the next scene. That was the scene we just talked about. Because he starts out by saying, Wesley, where are we? What happened? And then it goes into the whole thing about Boothby and so much I wanted to tell you, and and this is the scene that's hard for me to watch because his acting here is really spot on. Like this is somebody that he thinks this is the last thing he's gonna be able to say to anybody, and it works. But yeah, the whole "I envy you, Wesley's" a great line.
Yeah.
But Wesley's like, I figured things out. I attached something from my communicator thing. He did the thing.
It's not explained properly what he does. It's left as a who cares.
Yep.
But also, doesn't this feel like Patrick's dying and will leave the show?
Yeah, and that's why I said that the title is quite impactful when you think about it the first time watching it. Final mission for who? Well, it was for Durgo. Will it be for Captain Picard?
And to be fair, this does remind me of and Doctor Who spoiler ahead.
Doctor Who spoilers.
Matt Smith does die. Oh, sorry, David Tennant does die and becomes David Tennant. Even though we all knew he was leaving, he gave himself another half a season, and so he did regenerate into himself. And it ended at the thought, but then he didn't do more seasons. He just did another miniseries. And so what a way they could have done was Patrick, you thought he was going to die at Locutus. Nope, he dies with some rocks. Like, it does feel like that. Oh my god, imagine if this had been Picard's Generations. I didn't die defending the Federation, I died because some rocks fell on me. Is that shitty? But the acting is much better. Or at least whatever. But yeah, it really does play that way. And even his last line to Wesley doesn't feel like the last line for Wesley, it's the last line of Picard, A really nice, poignant line. You just wish that when he said that, I always respect you. It's like, apart from that first time you met him, that you hated him on your bridge, you didn't respect him then. No, you didn't, Patrick Picard. You did not like him for the first year at least. You avoided him like the plague. Sorry, you didn't. You cannot retroactively say you liked him the first time. You didn't. You clearly didn't.
Yeah. But then Wesley does a thing, shoots at it, pulls out the sentry, and starts messing with flying his hands over the tricorder, doing things.
Great looking zoom though.
Yeah. never explained the things like distorting and changing shape, and then flies right through them and deactivates the.
Yep.
And I appreciate that on the tricorder there's actually a little LCARS screen that has LCARS buttons. They're too small to touch, it looks like, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes.
In Voyager, every shot we get, every shot of a tricorder, it's always the same bar graph.
Well, I think it's like 3 hero props, so like 3 different ones, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same static thing, yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of nice. But yeah, he saves the day, gets the water, puts it into the medical tray thing, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, guard's mouth. And then all of a sudden, the cavalry's arrived, and Leslie, you're okay. Picard, you've been stabilized.
Although briefly, when the Enterprise turns up, note the ship's being lit from the opposite direction to the planets.
Yes, I did notice
It's
that.
stupid, and they should have remastered it.
That's because it flew by the really big filming camera they had in space that had the light on it. That can all be explained away, man.
It's just weird because the ship looks nice, and as it goes by, you're like, oh wait, it's completely wrong.
Unless it's like a full moon, and it's the reflection of the sun off the surface of the moon that's lighting the Enterprise.
I'll make sure I use that excuse next time I mess up lighting too.
The moon's pretty bright and reflective. Just saying.
It is.
This is the desert. Which can sustain life in an atmosphere, so it wouldn't reflect light the same way our moon does.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Basically, it's just a broken shot they should have fixed and remastered, but they didn't fix the planets either. So I mean, I guess they
Moonlighting. It's a show. Anyway. Yeah, so it's great. He still doesn't have to report for, I don't know how many days this has been. It's probably been a day.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't have to report to Starfleet for 2 weeks, so Picard's going to have 2 weeks to still talk to the guy. And who cares about the miners? They don't need to be their thing fixed. Fine. But anyway.
It's not like it's an abrupt end or anything. It's just, oh, we did a thing. Oh, here they are.
I do love the "what are you doing in such a filthy uniform?"
Yeah.
And it gets turned around on him right away. You don't look so ship-shape yourself, sir.
It kind of works, but again, devalues how ill he was. I know he's been stabilized, but
yeah,
it's just like
it's yeah, it's pretty simple for them to repair broken bones and stuff, and I would assume internal hemorrhaging in the future. So I really don't have an issue with that part. Because you don't know how long they've been there. He's obviously been put on a stretcher. He's been taken care of first before she woke Wesley up.
Yes. It's more just a tonal thing to go from one to a different. But there's multiple things of the jarring nature, you know. So it's like, this was not a good edit, this was not a good edit, etc., etc.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I love how he shakes his hand.
Yeah.
Says, Wesley, you will be missed. We're going up to the ship. You're going to probably be on your feet again in probably 3-4 hours. You can come hang out with me in my quarters. I'm not leaving for 2 weeks. Like, seriously.
No, that's the last time I'm seeing you, Wesley. I've made my mind up. Goodbye. But, sir, 2 weeks. No! Goodbye, Wesley. This is how I want you to remember me. Dying on a stretcher. Goodbye, Wesley. Now, Beverly, do you want to go on that date later? What? Oh, no, sorry.
As he's being taken out of the cave. Boothby. Remember Boothby.
And she ignores him, but they see each other's ship. She's like walking by corridors. Nope. I said my final words to you, Wesley. It was called Boothby. Yeah, it's Boothby. Goodness. Yeah.
Well, that's that episode, guys.
Well, we still found the full 2 hours, Stuart.
We actually had a lot to talk about in this one, which is interesting. We find that usually when I go in thinking we don't have anything to talk about in an episode, it's usually when we talk about most. So,
yeah. Well, it's because we're in the zone to kind of analyze and theorize.
Yeah. That's what we do here, and it's cheered me up quite substantially. So I appreciate that. So thank you.
Star Trek, man. All right.
The healing power of Star Trek.
Yeah. Like the space water, you have been healed. Actually, that would have been a nice payoff, actually. If the space water actually healed him, and that's
If it was
why...
medicinal water,
Yeah.
that's why it was protected. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
then Picard would get up, look at the thing. He would then touch something in the wall. The wall would glow, and then the dude's cocoon would disintegrate because it's a test. Anyone that can get to the water is given the knowledge and can then. That'd have been cool.
Well, it's medicinal water. It's the same stuff the dude had in his bottle. It's medicinal alcohol.
And it turns out
you can't drink this shit. It's gonna kill us.
Turns out the bottle was just shielded from scans on purpose. It was fucking water. The bottle was just shielded.
And the captain was an energy life form that was testing them.
That would have been better though, to double down though.
Into that.
Would have been good though if when Wesley puts the alcohol on his jacket, he's like, no, same with both of us. Why? Oh, it's actually water. What? It's actually water. Oh. But then he would have been a dickhead, and as we already established, we don't think he is. But that would have been a good payoff, though.
Devo 77X, he chose poorly.
Hey, yeah.
Give him the water, and he like shrivels up and dies.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that episode, guys. Better than I remember, actually.
Well, no, Stuart, ask the audience what they think in the super chats. We'll get that first. Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. We do care what you think. So if you want to super chat your scores, please do that now. I'll read those out. And if you just want to just throw them in the regular chat, Samuel will read those out when we're done giving you our scores.
Because I'm less important.
That's very true. That's very true. So... No, it's not. I'm just saying that for them out there, Samuel. It's okay. They don't have to know the truth later. Anyway, yeah, better than I remember. And the other captain, I always remember him trying to kind of be a little bit of an asshole. When you look at it, he's not. He's just a gruff old man who's not in a military organization like Starfleet. So he doesn't have that refinement on how he approaches things. The Wesley thing, it's sad to see him go, obviously, but I wish there was more explanation as to what he did at the end with the Century, because it's just like, I know he's alternating frequencies or whatever he's doing, but it's never really clearly explained. Also, I'd like an explanation for the shielding around the water fountain.
It's like the amount of time we get dedicated to the fusion emitters powering the damn impulse engines. I'd rather have on what the hell this water thing is. You know what I mean? It's like
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, we need a history for why it was shielded. Something like that would be cool. Just even cave writings or something on the walls. I don't know. But the other storyline's great as well, but it's very simplified. And like I said, there's so many more solutions that would have been a lot more safe and common sense approach-ish, than what they actually did. The asteroid field just there as a matter of, oh shit, there's an obstacle. We can't just launch it into the sun from here. So we have to have this whole drawn out thing of getting it through the asteroid field somehow. So,
well, as you said, asteroid field.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always forget about that plot, that whole thing. So, if you edited this down to just that, it'd be a nice short trek, because it really would. Just a nice short trek episode. Even the main plot as well would be the same. So I think there's a lot of filler in here, and 2 stories that were disconnected, but they probably didn't have room for them for their full episodes on their own, so they just said, screw it, we'll put them together.
But remember, like I said, the call out was specifically designed to be his final episode. No, this was dedicatedly written to be his final episode. So no, it wasn't. Yeah. It was custom built like this.
Well, they say that now, but I think there were some script concepts on the desk, and they're like, oh, yeah, I can't make a full episode of this. Anyway, so that being said, for all of season 4, I'll probably give this a 4.5 out of 10. for season 4. For all of Star Trek, I mean, there's one moment of like maybe 5 minutes of acting from Patrick Stewart that are just phenomenal in this episode. The rest is just kind of ho hum. Even the Picard or Riker's ludicrous plan. So for all of TNG, this is probably going to get a 3.5 out of 10. It's just kind of and it's not a lot of rewatchability here for me. So,
I definitely appreciate when I've got scores in my head and you say what you say, and it's like, okay, good, I'm more on point because, you can
that's
think.
why sometimes I'd like you to go first because, yeah.
But I'm left with this one especially. I'm left thinking, okay, so all of TNG is the important metric here, right? What did we say for the worst of those seasons? Because how is it better than those? How can it be? Like I've got so Farpoint was a 4 out of 10. Is this better than Farpoint? Naked Now 4.5. You know what I mean? Like that's now you suddenly adding these weird like all of TNG. Is it better than Haven? 3 out of 10. But then it's like
this is better than Haven.
Okay. But something those all of TNG is really hard because this episode is not bad, but it's not good. And then it comes down to, is it enjoyable to watch? No, not really. And then you have the ones that are bad with some really great moments that make you remember them. You have those episodes that are fun to watch, but good, like Masks. We both enjoy Masks, even though it's silly. Different criteria. And so it's hard to judge it because, is meh a good metric? And I would not choose to watch this again at a pinch. There's nothing here to particularly enjoy, and I really could have seen this be a really good Wesley concept. All it needed was him and Wesley crashing on a planet. It could have been just those two guys riffing for an hour. That could have been really strong, But yeah, I mean, your scores are pretty close to what I'm thinking because it's not achieving anything well. It kind of feels like a season 7 episode, like an average season 7, out of ideas, just going along with it. This season, it's probably the worst of this season in terms of an average episode. It's probably a worse quality, but this is one of the least good of the okays because there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say for this season, I'm gonna say 3.5. I think for all TNG a 3. Like, it's not bad, but it's super low on the spectrum. What was that, like a D?
It's not cringy.
No,
it doesn't deserve that bottom 1, 2, 3 slot.
No.
But
it's barely a pass.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way. And I know I saw some 8s out of 10s. I'm not sure why, but I think because we were trying to dissect these and think about them, and I would love to know then what you guys think dedicated score wise. And this should show that you can't say we're biased. You can't say we're just saying TNG is the bomb. Like, we're honest, guys.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying they don't like Masks in this chat. I rather enjoy Masks. It's not the worst episode of TNG, like a lot of people say.
Fun, silly can be fun, etc., etc.
Yeah, there's some good concepts.
I mean, Brent, come on, Brent.
Yeah. Saga. Ozzy Madero's $5. This episode gets a 7 out of 10. Trekyards gets a 10 out of 10. Okie dokie. Skeleton hand.
Like I said, he's going to keep adding catchphrases, isn't he?
Yep. Feetpaw Swiftback puts in $5.
Thank
5 out of 10 for season 4. 4 out of 10 for TNG.
Okay. Yep.
It was okay. Middle of the road, but not terribly memorable other than the water and Durgo getting encased. 10 out of 10 for you two.
Oh, thank you.
So, I forget about him getting encased every time, too.
Yeah. And I say it's not middle of the road. It's less than middle of the road. I would very distinctly say it's less than average. I would fight you on that a little bit.
It's missing something.
And I do agree. If you made the Riker thing a 10-minute short trek, it would be quite exciting.
Yeah.
Just their plot. It's a very just procedural, but it's like yeah.
Dan Lakey puts in
Thank
£5.
Yeah.
My headcanon has always been that the Traveler created the phone. It was all a test, as the Traveler says later, he's always been watching Wesley. I'd buy that for $1. Let's kill a man and almost kill Captain Picard.
That would work for me if the thing had healing powers, like we said.
Yeah, if Durgo wasn't dead at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like if the water, like he tried, like, so once the water, so imagine this, right? And the test is interesting. If the water healed Picard, and then he put the water, like he put some over Durgo, and the thing melted. And so he knew that the water was the key to both of them. Then yes, but yeah, killing a guy makes it out of that. But that would have been great. That would have been a very sci-fi reveal as well, like a sci-fi. And then you'd have them saying at the end, "What was that all about?" I don't know if we'll ever know, Wesley. But it showed Wesley, because the way he's using tricorder is so unexplained. When he says, "I just had a gut feeling, I can't explain it." Like they could have really linked. I mean, again, that was like 2 seasons away. You know.
That would have totally linked into how the Traveler did things.
Yep.
And, yes, 1000%.
Easy retcon. Had they knew 2 years future ideas. Yeah.
And Tenchi 2K7 $2, 6.5 out of 10 for season 4, and 7 out of 10 for TNG. Wow.
Hi.
Judge 1981 $5. I learned a Foley class wouldn't get radiation. Oh, did I die out? Did you hear me?
Foley Club.
Well, that's a lot of support in the Foley class. Judge 1981. I learned the Foley class wouldn't get radiation like that, and Patrick Stewart can act like a boss.
And I think he's underacting. He's a professional. It's Patrick acting as Picard, who's acting brave for Wesley. You know, it looks stoic. It looks like it looks. Some of it's like not acting very much, but it's actually layered. Yeah.
Jarzia $5.
Thank you.
7 out of 10. Disliked the B plot, but over season 2, 3, Wesley became a decent character, and it's a shame Will was bullied off the show. Better send off than Journey's End.
But you know what's sad, having watched this? He started as a better character, ended as a worse character for me, because he's not a character. He started as a character, he's ended as a generic officer.
That's because they listened to the fans who didn't like him and toned down the whole know-it-all smart kid thing.
Yep.
So,
but then
the fans don't know best.
Well, it's because the writers didn't know best. It wasn't the character, it was the writing of the character. That's the problem. It's like Burnham. Possible potential character, good actress, bad writing, just in the writing. But I mean, the fact that he's been in so few in the last 20 and we didn't even notice shows how he is. And they could have Wesley'd him up in this one with genius ideas, and they didn't.
Yep.
They should have.
Well, the end was kind of genius, but it was never explained. So.
Yeah.
That thing you can't find. Put them $5. 6 out of 10. Not the best swan song for a character, and other Wesley episodes that come later are better, but great interaction between Wesley and Picard. That's a good summation.
It definitely shows how they've developed into a equal relationship. Like, they're not just colleagues, but as he says, they're friends. So this is a great for, like, if you watch Farpoint and then this. I hate children. He's a young boy too. He absolutely relies on him to save his life and trusts him. That's great. But it takes all the Wesleys to have it.
Yeah.
This is why I honestly thought that he said, "So much I want to tell you. I'm your son." No. I'm your father, Wesley. Like, seriously, this episode, it would have been the moment to say that. Did it not feel like that? He's dying on his deathbed, he confesses, and then that's why he wants his last hurrah. That's why he's been taking an interest in him. Like, it's ripe for that.
There's a plot twist there, damn it. He is Wesley's son. Wesley goes forward in time, or backwards in, I don't know. He goes back in time at some point and has a kid, and becomes Picard, and Guinan is involved somehow. There's a story there, god damn it. And Wesley's actually Picard's father. God damn.
So past Guinan introduces Wesley to Picard's mum.
Wesley got stuck in the past.
And stuck in the past. His hand starts disappearing, so he has to help his mum and him Meter and Ball, and they sing Johnny Be Good, and it's the whole thing.
Eugene, 250 rubles, a 6 out of 10. First appearance of the main shuttle bay, not the last appearance of Wesley. Well, that's not the main shuttle bay, though.
And we've seen that room many times already.
And the main shuttle bay, as we know, huge and cavernous, and I wish they would have showed it.
Would have been cool.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? And Luke throws in $5. Thank you very much, Luke. 4 out of 10 for season 4, 3 out of 10 for all of TNG. Too many questions unanswered. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. So I already gave my score, didn't I? Yeah, 3.5. So I've given slightly lower than you, but about right. Okay, let me read out the non super chat. And so I'll guys put in your scores right now. And yeah, final super chats. I'd love to get on $10, not a lot. And 10 more likes. Again, shouldn't be too hard. 130 likes. Yeah, that's math. So let's see. So yeah, so 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3.14159, out of 10. Pi. 4.5, 9, 5, 7.5, 8, 4 out of 10, 7, 6, 6. 7, 6.5, 3. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, hey, most people like it more than we do, but we actually, I mean, but how many of them actually watched it before doing this? I bet most of the people that reviewed it didn't actually watch it, didn't just experience it. We did.
And Dan throws in £2, 9 out of 10. Great show, guys. Live long and prosper. Thank you. And Jarzia says, actually, I'm going to down it to a 6 out of 10 for TNG and season 4. Fun will now commence says, I would consider a 6 to be a pass, barely. I find it incongruent that he said that it's not bad and then give it a 3.5 out of 10.
Well, not bad means it doesn't do bad things, but if it doesn't excel.
And like I said, it's not a cringy episode.
No.
It's competent enough to watch and enjoy it, but it's not a standout when you compare it to the rest of Trek. So
if you have a bland cracker, it's not bad. Bad food is when it's like, ugh, that's bad. You can have bland food, no taste food.
Food you taste, chew once and spit out.
Yep.
There's other food you taste and kind of go,
yep,
and then swallow it anyway. And there's other ones that are kind of like, yeah, that was just, I'd rather not eat that again because it's just kind of not anything.
And there's just food you just eat and you don't think about it. Yeah, so, I get what you guys mean, but I know what I mean. Not bad means, there's nothing, it's weird. It's nothing in here. It does poorly per se, sometimes little plot things, but it does nothing well, really, except there's visual effects at the end and then some bad ones. It's a very,
It wasn't spit it out after one chew.
But I wouldn't watch it again. It wasn't a fun watch. I didn't really enjoy.
Something that you kind of chewed on and went, no, thanks, I'm good.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's the sort of episode where it's primed to be made better. It's got ingredients that are good. Yeah. It was like a meal that wasn't salted properly. Just wasn't seasoned. But the thing is, TNG is so good. That's kind of the point. It's a really good show. That even a 4 is that's for TNG scale, Yeah. That's not for TV. This is better than a lot of TV. This is not the best for TNG. Yeah.
Anyway, one I didn't think we'd talk about very much. It's over 2 hours, so.
Yeah.
Finish tomorrow, as we do a next time on Lower Decks prediction thing.
I'm excited to see you next Lower Decks. I read some vague other little things that made me a bit more excited, so I'm interested to see that. And yes, of course, Jill always watches these right before.
And Dave L says this was on the Sci-Fi Channel here in Europe only today. Amazing or what? They've been following Trekyards. They know what's up. They're like, oh, people are going to want to watch this because Trekyards is covering it tonight.
But for their audience, they're really confused because they have TNG every sometimes it's 4 times a week, sometimes it's 1 time every 4 weeks. They just show TNG. It's weird. there's no rhyme or reason for 9% audience, but those that know Trekyards, they say, they're copying Trekyards so that you can watch it. Yep.
And Luke Celeste puts $5 in. Was waiting for Picard to look at Wesley and say, "Paul, is that you?" Fleet Paw Swift back $2. I'm gonna pay for 125. Challenge issue. Do it. There you go. Thank you guys. But yeah, like I said, tune in tomorrow, same time for the prediction video and talking about the next time on Lower Decks. And yeah, thank you for joining us, guys.
And who was the last super chat? Who gets that?
That's Fleet Plus.
Hey, good for him. See ya. See you soon, guys. And do check out today's Klingon episode about the disruptors. Lots of good graphics in that one. And yesterday's Lower Decks engineering look at. Some good look at this week, and one more tomorrow. So do tune in and enjoy. Bye, guys.